From popcorn to prosperity, the shocking moment a millionaire chose her among 83 finalists, the crowd roared, a tidal wave of excitement surging through the packed auditorium. Spotlight beams cut through the haze, landing on Mia, her heart racing like a trapped bird in her chest. She was one of the 83 hopefuls, all vying to be the next big thing, but nothing could prepare her for what was about to unfold. In that very moment, the riches, the fame, it all hung on a knife's edge. A gasp rippled through the audience as the millionaire made her choice. Mia. The name echoed like a thunderclap, casting a spell of disbelief around the room. How could it be? The girl from a small town, known more for her mismatched socks than her business acumen, selected by a titan of industry, but wait, there was something more. The whispering winds of fate tangled in a web of secrets. Mia felt a chill dance down her spine. This wasn't just luck, and everyone knew it. Rumors swirled about the millionaire's past, dark and twisted. Could it be that Mia was chosen not for her skills, but for something far more sinister? Her eyes darted around the stage, searching for answers in the shadows. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife, leaving a lump in her throat. What had she stumbled into? She took a deep breath. The lights were blinding, and the murmurs surrounding her felt like a relentless tide, crashing against the wall of her sanity. In that instant, she promised herself that she would uncover the truth behind this surreal twist of fate. Why her? How? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air grew heavier as she stepped off the stage. The applause faded away, replaced by a silence that felt electric and disorienting. A twinkle of something, perhaps hope or maybe dread, sparked inside Mia. She felt eyes on her. Not the friendly, congratulatory stares, but something deeper, more penetrating. The kind that saw through her facade, peeling back her layers like an onion. A knot formed in her stomach. What if there were dangers lurking beneath the surface? As she caught a glimpse of the millionaire, the woman's smile seemed twisted, her eyes glinting with an inscrutable intensity. Mia's instinct kicked in. There was a game at play, a high-stakes poker match where she had to figure out her hand quickly. Shadows danced around her, the whispers in the corners of the room seemed to chant her name as if they were foretelling her fate. What had she really signed up for? And where would this unexpected path lead her? The glimmer of possibility was intoxicating, but deeply concerning. Would Mia's search for answers reveal unthinkable truths? Or would she unearth something dark that would change everything she thought she knew? The stage had been set, and the journey was just beginning. Mia stumbled into a dimly lit corner backstage, her pulse still racing from the announcement. The cacophony of cheers was now just a distant murmur. She pressed her back against the cool wall, desperately trying to catch her breath, but the air felt thick and heavy. The implications of the moment weighed down on her like a lead blanket. Congratulations, Mia. A voice cut through her daze. It was Natalie, one of the other finalists, her excitement palpable. But Mia could see the unease beneath the surface. Natalie's smile didn't fully reach her eyes. You did it. You really did it. But are you okay? Mia pasted on a smile, though it felt strained. Yeah, I was surprised, that's all. Surprised? Natalie's voice raised slightly. You were the chosen one. Some say you're just lucky, but have you thought about what this means? Her expression grew serious. She has a reputation, you know. People have whispered things. Dark things. What do you mean, dark things? Mia's heart sank. She hadn't wanted to hear that, not now. She felt like a delicate flame, easily snuffed out by the winds of gossip. Nothing concrete, but they say her success isn't just from talent. They say she makes deals in the shadows. Natalie's eyes darted around, as if afraid someone might be listening. Just be careful, Mia. This is a world of sharks, and you just jumped into the deep end. Mia swallowed hard. The audience's applause replayed in her mind, but now it was tainted with suspicion. She thought of the millionaire's calculating smile, how it seemed to hold secrets. Thanks for the heads up, Nat, Mia managed, unsure of what to feel. Was she merely a pawn in someone else's game? She turned and headed toward the exit, her thoughts racing. The hallway was empty, and the silence amplified her swirling thoughts. What had she stepped into? A flash of movement caught her eye, and she turned to see the millionaire, Rachel Sinclair, striding confidently down the corridor. Rachel was a tall, formidable woman with an electric presence. She exuded an aura of power that could intimidate anyone. Mia. There you are. Rachel's voice was honeyed, lilting, yet there was an underlying chill. I was hoping to speak with you privately. Mia froze, every instinct screaming that she should run. But curiosity and a hefty dose of naivete rooted her in place. Sure, she replied, her voice trembling. Rachel led her into a small room, the walls lined with sleek, modern artwork. The atmosphere felt oppressive. Congratulations again, Rachel began, her eyes piercing into Mia's. You have something special. I see promise in you, but I also see potential dangers lurking. Mia's heart raced anew. What do you mean? Let us not dance around it. You need to understand the stakes in this industry. It can be magical, yes, glittering, even. But sometimes, the magic comes with a price. Rachel leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. Can you pay that price, Mia? A lump formed in Mia's throat. She felt trapped in a game where the rules were unwritten, and the consequences were dire. I want to succeed, but what kind of price are we talking about? Rachel smirked, a sly expression that sent chills down Mia's spine. Let's just say, not everyone who crosses this threshold makes it out unscathed. You must tread carefully, and remember, sometimes the ones who cheer the loudest are the ones who are ready to make a sacrifice. Mia's stomach tightened. Was this a warning or an invitation? What do I need to do? Rachel's smile broadened unsettlingly. I'll need to see how far you're willing to go. Don't worry, you'll figure it out soon enough. As she left the room, Mia felt a swirl of dread and exhilaration. The million-dollar question hovered in her mind, was her dream worth the risks? Just how dark was this world she was entering? The door clicked shut behind her, and she stood frozen in the corridor, wrestling with her racing thoughts. A sense of foreboding loomed. She needed to uncover the truth not just about Rachel, but about herself. What sacrifices lay ahead? And would she even recognize herself when it was all over? Her journey was just beginning, but with every step, the shadows crept closer. Mia took a breath, trying to shake off the weight of Rachel's words. The hallway loomed ahead, shadows shifting in the dim light. Each step felt heavy, as if the floor itself was blending into a chasm of uncertainty. She had succeeded, yes, but at what cost? As she navigated through the maze of backstage corridors, Mia's mind whirled. Where did she go from here? The taste of victory was souring in her mouth, eclipsed by Rachel's ominous promises. She needed answers. A sudden explosion of laughter from a nearby room jolted her from her reverie. Mia peered through the glass window and saw the other finalists gathered around a table, their faces animated, celebratory. There was Natalie, raising a glass, her smile genuine now, basking in the moment. Mia felt a pang of longing. Was she supposed to join them, or should she dig deeper into the shadows that Rachel had hinted at? Hey! Mia! Someone called her name, pulling her from her thoughts. It was Jake, the charismatic finalist known for his infectious enthusiasm. He beckoned her over, the other finalists turning to greet her with cheers. "Come on, you should be celebrating," Jake urged, pulling her into the room before she could second-guess herself. "Let us raise a toast to Mia," shouted one of the girls, her glass shimmering in the light. Mia hesitated, the moment feeling surreal. This was what she had dreamed of, right? Yet doubt crept in like a whisper, filling her with hesitation. What had Rachel meant by sacrifice? "Thanks, everyone," Mia managed, raising her glass as she forced a smile. A low buzz of anxiety simmered beneath her cheerful facade. Each clang of their glasses felt like a metronome counting down the moments until the truth would reveal itself. After a few shallow sips and forced laughter, the atmosphere shifted. A voice, tight with tension, broke through the revelry. "So, who else is thinking about working with Rachel Sinclair?" It was one of the other girls, Evelyn, who leaned in conspiratorially. "What do you mean?" Mia asked, her pulse quickening. "Everyone knows she's a powerhouse," Evelyn replied, a smirk dancing on her lips. "But there's a reason she's so successful. The show may seem glam, but behind those flashbulbs, well, let us just say some pay their dues in other ways." Mia's stomach dropped. Was this the second warning? Or just paranoia taking root? "What dues?" Evelyn leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Rumor has it she expects loyalty. Absolute loyalty. And if you cross her, you might find yourself out in the cold faster than you can say star." Mia shuddered involuntarily, gripping her glass tighter. The air felt oppressive suddenly, like a weight settling on her chest. Was loyalty part of that price Rachel had mentioned? "Hey, let us keep things light," Jake interjected, trying to steer the conversation back to cheer. But as the party resumed its facade of joy, Mia felt like an outsider looking in. Glance after glance, she could see the excitement in their eyes, but at the same time, behind those smiles, she sensed the alarm bells ringing. The laughter grew louder, drowning out her thoughts. Yet in the back of her mind, Rachel's words replayed relentlessly. "Can you pay that price?" Sinking further into her own swirl of confusion, Mia excused herself. She escaped to the restroom, splashing cool water on her face. The mirror reflected someone she hardly recognized, a girl standing at the brink of her dreams, cloaked in shadows of uncertainty. "Am I really ready for this?" she questioned herself, her voice echoing softly in the tiled room. Boisterous laughter drifted through the thin walls, but Mia didn't join. Instead, she reflected more deeply. Outside, the world was still spinning, external joy pulsating while she wrestled with inner demons. Sparks of ambition glimmered like distant stars, but what path would she choose to reach them? One wrong turn could mean losing everything. Just then, her phone buzzed sharply in her pocket, shattering the silence. A message from an unknown number flashed on the screen: "Meet me at the cafe down the road. You need to hear the truth." Mia's heart raced at the mysterious text. Was this trustworthy? Was this her chance to unveil the secrets lurking behind the glitz? She surged with adrenaline, the decision instantly gripping her. Should she take the plunge into another unknown, or rotate back to safety? Time ticked away, urgency pounding in her veins. What was waiting for her at the cafe? Mia's heart pounded as she stared at the screen, the message taunting her with its implications. Should she ignore it and stick with the glitzy celebration or risk it all for the unknown? 1,000 scenarios played through her mind, but in that moment, she felt the thrill of possibility surge within her. After a quick glance back at the festivity behind her, she made the choice. She couldn't let fear dictate her actions any longer. With a final deep breath, she tucked her phone away and slipped out of the restroom, determination coursing through her veins. The night air snapped around her as she exited the building. The lively chatter and laughter faded, replaced by the cool breeze and the distant hum of city life. Her adrenaline drove her forward, thrumming with each step toward the corner cafe she barely remembered the name of. As she approached, the cafe's neon sign flickered like a lighthouse in a storm, guiding her through her doubts. She pushed the door open, the warm scent of coffee and baked goods washing over her. A few patrons dotted the tables, but one solitary figure stood out. At the back, a man in a dark jacket sat with an air of quiet authority. He was looking at her, a calm gaze that held secrets she desperately wanted to uncover. She hesitated at the threshold, feeling the weight of what was about to transpire. "Mia?" he asked, his voice low and smooth, cutting through the ambient noise. "Yes. You're Elle," she replied, her pulse quickening. She moved toward him, her senses heightened. The thrill mixed with a pulse of fear that surged through her. "Please, have a seat," he gestured to the empty chair across from him. His expression was unreadable, yet there was a sharp intensity in his eyes that made Mia uneasy. "What is this about?" she demanded, leaning in as tension coiled in her gut. Elle took a sip of his coffee, swallowing his silence. "You need to understand the world you're stepping into, Mia. It's not what it looks like on the surface." Mia narrowed her eyes, her heart racing. "What do you mean?" He leaned forward, eyebrows knitted. "Rachel Sinclair is powerful, but she is not just a manager. She controls this entire industry with an iron grip. And once you're in, it's hard to break free." A chill swept down Mia's spine, the weight of his words pressing heavily upon her. Had Rachel carefully curated her success only to bind her with unseen chains? What kind of control? "Loyalty, like Evelyn said," he continued, "but it's deeper than that. There are sacrifices, personal sacrifices that you'll have to make. People disappear from this world for less." Mia's stomach twisted at the implications. "Disappear? What are you saying?" Elle took another moment, measuring his words. "There's a reason why some finalists don't leave the competition. And some who do. They're crushed under the weight of what they've done to stay relevant. I want to help you avoid that fate. But you have to trust me. Trust a stranger." Mia's world felt like it was tilting sideways. "Why should I?" she asked, scrambling to breathe normal air. "Because if you don't, you might end up regretting the choices you'll make in the coming days," he said quietly, his demeanor unwavering. "And trust me, the industry is watching. If you enter Rachel's sphere, you'll need allies. You'll need strength. And I can offer both." The cafe grew muffled around her, her breath hitching. The stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. The choice she had to make was right there on the table, raw and real. "What's the catch?" she asked, suspicion lacing her tone. He smirked, a flash of honesty in those dark eyes. "Just come back for a second meeting. That's all I'm asking. But know this. What you find could change everything you thought you knew about this game." She blinked, the weight of his proposition hanging heavily in the air. Could she really trust him? But before she could respond, the door burst open, a loud bang shattering her thoughts while a group of finalists piled in, laughter trailing behind them. Jake, with his infectious energy, was leading the pack, his presence casting a sudden light over Mia. "Mia! There you are. Come celebrate," he called, oblivious to the storm brewing at her table. Her instincts flared. She could feel the pull of loyalty, familiarity, and the safety of her friends on one side, while Elle's dangerous intrigue tempted her from the other. Did she choose the unknown, or slip back into the comforts of what she knew? Time was running out, and as the finalists surged closer, a sudden realization struck. The decision ahead of her was about more than herself, it was about the woman she wanted to become. Glancing back at Elle, she couldn't shake the lingering doubt. What had he really meant by sacrifices? And as she turned to face her friends, the answer to that question began to swirl ominously in her mind like smoke, thick and insidious. What awaited her in the dizzying world ahead might not just shape her career but could cost her more than she was ready to grasp. As laughter enveloped her, a final profound thought echoed: would the next choice she made seal her fate for good? The noise of laughter and chatter washed over Mia, pulling her back to the moment. She turned to face Jake, his smile beaming with excitement, but a strange heaviness settled in her chest. She couldn't shake off Elle's words, lingering in her mind like a heavy fog, the sacrifices, the disappearances, the entangled loyalties that could consume her. She needed clarity, yet the vibrant scene before her was a painful reminder of what she could lose. Mia. Come on, don't just stand there. We've got a toast to make. Jake's voice was warm, his enthusiasm infectious. But each syllable felt like a chain binding her to a life she was starting to question. I'll be right there, she replied, forcing a smile, her gaze darting back to Elle, but he had vanished into the shadows of the cafe, leaving behind only the echo of uncertainty. She hadn't even gotten his contact information. Would she see him again? Her friends pulled her along, their laughter vibrant and genuine, yet every clap on the back felt like a reminder of the choice looming over her. As they toasted their drinks, she raised her glass but couldn't shake the feeling that the cheers were ringing hollow. Cheers to us! Someone shouted, lifting their cup high. Mia noticed the cup in her hand trembled slightly, the weight of her indecision pressing down on her like a thick fog. So, Mia, how does it feel to be a finalist? One of the girls asked, her voice bright with hope, unaware of the dark currents swirling in Mia's mind. It feels amazing, Mia managed to reply, forcing enthusiasm into her tone while her thoughts were spiraling into chaos. The buzz of victory mixed with the biting fear of what she might have to sacrifice to truly succeed. She stole a glance at Jake, who was animatedly discussing their next competition task, and the warmth of friendship that had once been her anchor now felt like a silent prison. What if her path led her to betray them? To become someone she didn't recognize? The adrenaline that once raced in her veins now morphed into a sharp anxiety. Mia. Earth to Mia. Jake's voice shook her from her reverie, and she focused on his concerned expression. Sorry. I just got lost in thought, I guess, she replied, avoiding his probing gaze. The celebration felt surreal, almost like a vivid dream where shadows danced just out of reach. Suddenly, the door swung open again, and in walked another familiar face, a finalist. She barely spoke to Sophia. The moment her eyes met Mia's, something flickered behind them, an unsettling connection. Mia's instincts flared, the air shifted, crackling with tension. Sophia leaned in towards Mia, her voice low and urgent. Have you heard about Rachel's meeting tomorrow? She asked, her eyes wide with fear and determination. Mia shook her head, confusion mixing with trepidation. What meeting? Sophia glanced around, then leaned closer. It said she'll be deciding who moves forward. And if you're chosen? There are costs you wouldn't expect. Just be careful, alright? Mia's heart dropped, a sinking feeling washed over her. What were they stepping into? Was Elle right about Rachel's grip? The room began to close in on her. Every voice faded into a dull roar, leaving Mia alone with this fresh wave of panic. Just then, Jake grabbed her hand. Hey, come on. We can't let the competition get to us. Let us just enjoy tonight. His words felt hollow, and she squeezed his hand, fighting the explosion of emotions inside her. She wanted to protect them, but could she protect herself? As laughter erupted around her, a sudden chill crept down her spine, burying the knife of doubt deeper into her heart. But the strangest thing happened amid the chaos. The revelation was sharp enough to cut through the noise. What if she could straddle both worlds? What if she could keep her friends close while also playing the game smarter? As she considered the complexity of her choices, the tension in her chest tightened further. She couldn't outrun this decision forever, and every passing moment gnawed at her like a relentless tide teasing at the shore. Looking across the room, her gaze caught the dark figure of Elle re-entering, his eyes scanning the crowd until they found hers. Time seemed to freeze, the world around her fading into the background. She could either fall back into the comfortable embrace of her friends or plunge headfirst into the unknown with Elle's promise of power. As the loud clinking of glasses filled the air, a singular thought rocketed through her mind. What did she truly want, and what was she willing to sacrifice for it? In that moment, the decision to walk away or step into a darker reality had never felt more critical. But just as she was about to make her choice, everything shifted again. A scream pierced through the air, muffled yet sharp. The crowd froze, and all eyes turned toward the entrance. Mia's heart raced as dread pooled in her stomach. What had just happened? And what did it mean for the choices that lay ahead? The piercing scream lingered, slicing through the celebratory atmosphere like a knife. Gasps erupted from voices around Mia, reverberating off the walls in a cacophony of shock. She turned sharply toward the entrance, her pulse thundering in her ears, dread clawing at her throat. Who was it? Jake asked, his grip tightening around her wrist. I don't know, Mia stammered, her eyes darting for a familiar face amongst the panic. Suddenly, people shifted, and a figure stumbled into the cafe, blood dripping from her forehead. It was Rachel, the orchestrator behind the competition's chaos, swaying on her feet. Every pair of eyes locked onto her, every mouth fell silent, anticipation mixing with fear. Rachel! Someone called, rushing toward her but being held back by the throng. The energy in the room shifted, morphing from excitement to stark terror, and Mia's heart sank further as Rachel collapsed to the ground, clutching her head. What just happened? Mia murmured, feeling the room constrict around her, the walls pressing in as the tension mounted. She was teetering on the edge, caught between the safety of her friends and the sinister pull of the unknown. Get back! Everyone, back! Jake shouted, pushing through the crowd, panic lighting his eyes. As Mia followed him, her mind traced back to Sophia's warning, the weight of it now heavier than ever. The implied threats danced through her thoughts like phantoms, nagging at her subconscious. What was happening here? Who would attack Rachel? And why? A nearby table erupted into whispers, spreading like wildfire. Is she dead? One voice quivered. What if it's connected to the competition? Another added breathlessly. The tension escalated, fear binding them together in uncertainty. Mia, we have to leave. Jake pulled her toward the exit, but she hesitated, caught in the undertow of curiosity and dread. She had already asked herself what she was willing to sacrifice for success, but now an entirely new question surged forth. What could this competition make her sacrifice to achieve it? As Rachel writhed on the floor, a smattering of voices reflected the panic to come. Someone call an ambulance. Echoed through the chatter, but something about the flatness of their urgency raised a chilling alarm in Mia's gut. Then, in the eye of the storm, Mia spotted Elle standing at the back of the cafe, his face a mask of calm in the whirlwind of chaos. The world around her felt like it was spiraling down into darkness, yet he stood as if the storm didn't reach him. What did he know? And why did he look so unfazed by the pandemonium? Her instincts flared, propelled by uncertainty. Images of her friends, a life she once embraced, clashed violently with the allure Elle represented. She turned to Jake, whose eyes reflected nothing but fear. Jake, maybe we. Before she could finish her thought, the crowd surged forward, a collective panic turning them into a frenzied cascade, jostling Mia and Jake apart. Mia! She heard his voice shouting amidst the clamor, breaking through the sounds of chaos, but she found herself swept away, pulled like a leaf in a storm, struggling to maintain balance. And then, Elle stepped into her path, his eyes fixing on hers with an intensity that made her heart race. You need to listen to me, he said, his voice low but urgent, half drowned by the chaos around them. If you want to survive this, you have to make a choice. Mia's breath hitched, caught between the pull of safety, of friendship, and the seductive whispers of power that flooded her mind. What exactly was she willing to gamble now that the stakes had dramatically shifted? And with that question circling ominously through her thoughts, the crowd erupted once more as Rachel let out a haunting, guttural moan, pulling Mia back toward the reality she had tried so hard to escape. What was happening next could shatter everything or set her free. The uncertainty tightened around her as she stared into Elle's unwavering gaze, fear morphing into determination. But in the midst of turmoil, the murmur of deceit lurked just beneath the surface. A choice loomed, one that could very well reshape everything she once held dear. What would she choose? and was she prepared for the consequences of whatever path she stepped onto next? Mia's heart raced as the chaos pulsated around her. L's voice cut through the panic like a lifeline in turbulent waters. "You need to make a decision," he said again, his eyes locked onto hers, holding her captive in that moment, but what could she decide? Rachel's writhing on the floor sent shockwaves of fear coursing through the cafe, and Mia felt her breath quicken. Jumping at the sound of another scream, she instinctively flinched, but L's presence anchored her. There was something compelling about him, something that made her want to trust him despite the chaos, despite the blood on the floor. With an urgent nod, L reached for her arm, his grip firm but not overpowering. "Follow me. We'll figure it out." She hesitated, glancing back toward Jake, who was still trying to navigate through the rising tide of panic. He shouted her name again, his voice tinged with desperation. "Mia. Come on." Confusion clawed at her. Loyalty or power? Safety or ambition? Both options felt equally treacherous, but her instincts battled fiercely with rational thought. What if Rachel's collapse had something to do with the competition? What if she was next? Then again, what did Elle know that could keep her safe? The cacophony intensified behind her, shouts, cries, and that gut-wrenching sound of reality crashing into dreams. She felt it a deep, resounding tremor of urgency. But could she trust Elle? Could she abandon Jake, her friend amid this newfound darkness? "Jake, I stay with me, Mia," he shouted, eyes wide and frantic. Elle tugged her closer, whispering, "Now. We don't have time." Before she could respond, an electrifying light flashed outside the cafe. A siren echoed through the air, blue and red lights flickered, spilling like liquid fear into the space. Ambulance. Police. All the reminders of reality creeping back in. The crowd surged, a rush of bodies heading for the doors, but Elle kept her planted firmly at the back. "No way. We go now," he insisted, determination etched in his features. She could feel the weight of his gaze, urging her to decide. In that heartbeat, the world around her blurred, whispers intertwined as people began to panic about what was coming. She caught snippets, "It's all connected, could be dangerous." What did she see? Rachel's moan sliced through the chaos again. And there it was, the thread that pulled Mia in two directions, the instinct to flee toward stability and the lingering shadow of ambition whispering that survival could mean embracing the unknown. "Okay," she said, the words tumbling out. "Fine, I'll go with you." L's lips curved into a calculated smile, but before they could escape, Jake grabbed her wrist one last time. "You can't trust him, Mia. Think about this." "Think about what?" "If I stay, I might be the next victim. You can't protect me forever." "Mia." Jake cried, desperation spilling into his voice. "Please, just listen to me." But then the crowd thinned, revealing L's route. He jerked his head toward a back exit the way directly into the alley. Bright lights pulsated behind them, bathing the cafe in an eerie glow. With one last longing glance at Jake, Mia steeled her resolve. She broke free from him, following Elle toward the alley, where shadows danced as they stepped into the night. As they fled, she sensed something sinister coiling in her gut, a silent acknowledgement that their escape was just the beginning. Whatever lay ahead, the choice she made might unravel a much darker web than she could imagine. Just as they reached the alley's end, Elle paused and turned to her, his expression unreadable. "Get ready. We're deep in it now, and I need you to be brave." But bravery felt miles away. What had she just thrown herself into? Mia knew one thing: the night was far from over, and the truth waited just beyond the shadows. What secret would surface next, and were they truly safe, or merely stepping into a trap? Mia's heart thudded against her ribcage, a frantic drumbeat in the still night air. The alley felt constricted, shadows loomed larger, and the chaos of the cafe faded into a haunting echo behind her. Elle's dark eyes held her, flickering with urgency, and for a moment, she believed she could leap into the unknown with him. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice a shaky whisper, laced with trepidation. Somewhere safe. At least for now, Elle replied, glancing back over his shoulder. He moved silently, his footsteps swift and calculated, while Mia struggled to keep up. The chill of the night seeped into her skin, heightening her senses. They turned a corner, and the alley twisted unexpectedly into a wider street, dimly lit by flickering streetlights. Mia glanced around, her instincts on high alert. There were people milling about, oblivious to the storm that had just erupted within the cafe. Did they know what had happened? Would they even care? Suddenly, Elle stopped and grabbed her wrist, pulling her close. "Shoo," he instructed, his breath hot against her ear. "We need to blend in." Mia's pulse quickened as she stole glances around them. A group of young adults laughed loudly, their carefree demeanor a stark contrast to the knot of dread tightening in her stomach. "What is going on, Elle?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I need to know what you're planning." His brow furrowed for a brief moment, he looked almost vulnerable. "There are forces at play here, Mia. The competition isn't what it seems." Rachel, it was a warning. She felt a chill, his words sinking into her. "A warning? What do you mean?" He hesitated, eyes narrowing as if to weigh whether to share more. "Someone is watching us. This competition, the stakes are higher than we thought. Rachel was involved in something dangerous. I need you to trust me like I trust you." A knife of fear sliced through her. Danger was real, and it was inching closer. "I barely know you," she snapped, a surge of defiance rising within her. "Why should I trust you?" Because he paused, the moment stretching between them like a taut wire. "If you don't, you might just end up like Rachel." The air thickened with dread. What had Rachel gotten tangled in? Was it all connected to this competition? The thought pooled in her mind, a murky concoction of fear and intrigue. Just then, shouts erupted from the darkness behind them, a frantic crescendo that swallowed the laughter from the street. Mia turned, adrenaline surging through her as silhouettes emerged, figures weaving through the shadows. Panic gripped her. "Run!" Elle commanded, his voice urgent as he pulled her away from the source of the chaos. They darted into the night, weaving between cars parked haphazardly, heartbeats thundering in sync. The distant sound of sirens pierced the air, a reminder that safety was a fleeting illusion. As they turned another corner, she could hear the faint thud of feet behind them, gaining momentum. Mia's breath caught in her throat. "They're coming. Who just keep running. We can't look back." Elle urged, dragging her along. They sprinted until they spotted a narrow side street, its entrance shadowed and inviting. Elle hesitated, not breaking stride. He shot her a look, an unspoken plea. Mia nodded, instinctively trusting him, once more throwing herself into the unknown. Just as they slipped into the side street, the sounds behind them shifted. Voices echoed, anger and urgency spilling into the night air. "Mia!" Someone shouted in the distance, booming like thunder through the alley. It was Jake. Had he followed them? Panic coursed through her blood, her decision to flee with Elle flashed like neon danger signs in her mind. She reached for Elle, feeling the weight of uncertainty settle into her bones. "We have to help him." "No." Elle snapped, gripping her shoulders. "You can't go back. Not now. If they're after you, they won't stop until they get what they want. Trust me, we have to move." A chill of realization washed over her as the stakes of her choice became painfully clear. What had she jumped into? With every hurried step, the question ricocheted in her mind, almost mocking her. As they dove deeper into the shadows, Mia knew one thing for sure: the walls were closing in, and soon she would have to confront the very demons she had sought to escape. What did they want from her, and would she discover the hidden truth before time ran out? They darted through the side street, a labyrinth of crumbling buildings and trash cans, the air heavy with the scent of rain-soaked asphalt. Mia's mind raced along with her pounding heart. She could still hear Jake's voice, desperate and filled with anguish, weaving through the chaos behind them. Elle, I can't just abandon him. She gasped, her lungs burning. What do you think they want? Elle's grip tightened on her wrist as they rounded a corner. Time isn't on our side. They'll find him soon if we don't disappear. His eyes were intense, a storm of urgency and anger that pulled her in. They zigzagged through alleys, avoiding the treacherous crowds where revelry ignited the night. Mia couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were on her, unseen but unyielding, crawling over her skin like a swarm of phantom insects. Every flicker of movement drew a jolt of panic as they ducked into another alleyway. Here. Elle pulled her into a dimly lit doorway, hidden beneath a cracked awning. They pressed against the wall, breathless. The sound of angry shouts echoed behind them, like wolves on a hunt. What do they want? The question slipped out in a hoarse whisper. The adrenaline coursed through her veins like a raging river, but the fear lazing in the back of her mind had never felt more alive. Elle's jaw clenched. It's about the competition. Someone or something is drawing them to you, and it's bigger than you think. Rachel, she had information and they silenced her. The tremor in his voice belied the strength in his eyes, their depth reflecting the fears they shared. Mia swallowed hard, images of Rachel flashing through her mind, smiling, vibrant, now gone. But why me? I didn't even want to be part of this. Exactly, Elle replied tightly, his gaze fixed intently on the street. That's what makes you special. They see you as a piece in their game. They know you can tip the balance. A heavy silence enveloped them as they listened. Footsteps thundered past the entrance, voices rising and fading like waves crashing against rocks. Mia felt faint, the weight of the situation pressing down on her chest. What had she done to deserve this? Why was she being pulled into a web of danger and deceit? Elle. A voice called from the shadows, sharp like a blade cutting the night. Mia's breath caught again as she strained to hear over the pounding of her heart. The voice sounded familiar, a blend of urgency and fear. Elle, please. I need your help. It's bad. Mia spun towards Elle, wide-eyed. Someone else is here. Before Elle could respond, the silhouette of a man stepped into the periphery. As the figure emerged from the shadows, Mia's stomach twisted with recognition. It was Jake, disheveled and frantic, clothes torn, blood seeping from a cut on his forehead. Mia. He gasped, his eyes wild with desperation. They know where you are. We have to get out now. A myriad of emotions crashed over Mia, relief, anger, fear clashing like waves in a turbulent sea. She darted forward, instinctively reaching for him, but Elle stepped between them, blocking her path. Don't, he warned, voice low and fierce. We can't afford to get cornered. But Mia's body was already moving, and before she could process her actions, she was in Jake's arms, clinging to him tightly. What's happening? We're running out of time. They're coming for you. He turned to Elle, eyes filled with disbelief. Let us go. We can't hide here. Elle's face darkened, his gaze darting between Mia and Jake. There's more to this than either of you know. Running could lead them straight to you. At that moment, the sounds of laughter and the crowd surged back, now coupled with the unmistakable echo of sirens drawing closer. The city lights flickered ominously, a harbinger of the chaos that was about to ensue. Mia's heart raced as tension coiled tighter. What started as a thrilling competition had spiraled into a night of madness. Trust was faltering, alliances were crumbling, and the truth lay buried beneath layers of deceit. The sirens grew louder, and a single question burned in her mind. Who could she truly trust in a world turned upside down? As the chaos mounted, Mia felt the familiar pull of danger, and she knew this was just the beginning. She stepped back, glancing between Jake and Elle, tensions flaring as she faced an impossible choice. Before she could voice her uncertainty, the alley erupted into a sea of shadows, figures emerging as if conjured from the darkness itself. Mia. A voice called amidst the turmoil, colder than the wind. The night folded around her, and she realized whatever was unleashed in this moment would decide her fate. Would she run, stand still, or fight? The storm was coming, and this time, there would be no turning back. Mia's world felt like it was collapsing in on itself as the figures loomed closer, their eyes dark and filled with intent. The night had shifted from a dazzling competition to a brutal revelation, and reality blurred jaggedly. Each heartbeat echoed in her mind, urgency crackling in the air as Jake and Elle stood firm at her sides, an unfamiliar alliance bound by chaos. "Run!" Jake shouted, urgency thrumming through his voice. But Mia hesitated, torn between her instincts. Fear pulsed in her veins. This was not just about escaping, it was about survival. "No." Elle countered, his voice cutting through the panic. "We need to hold our ground." "What do you think they want? Why are they after us?" Mia managed to stammer, desperation choking her words. The shadows inched closer, drawing her anxiety to a boiling point. L's eyes locked onto hers, fierce determination hardening his features. "They want to control the narrative, the competition. It's all connected to Rachel. If we run, we lose our chance to find out what's really going on. We have to confront this head-on." A decision hung heavy in the air, like a storm on the horizon. Mia could feel it, crawling over her skin, each option carrying the weight of consequence. Was it riskier to stay and fight, or to run and hide, uncertain of what lay behind? Just then, a flash of movement caught her eye. The figures were upon them, shrouded in darkness and malice. "We're not alone," one of the men said, stepping forward. His face was partially obscured, but the glint in his eyes pierced through the shadows. "You're in the wrong place. Time to make a choice." Everything within Mia screamed to run, but Elle stood unyielding, his presence a shield against the growing sense of fear. "No one is taking us anywhere," he stated, voice steady and resolute. Jake adjusted his stance, bracing for confrontation. "You don't know what you're dealing with. Back off." Mia felt her heart thundering as she tried to assess the situation. Who were these people? What happened to Rachel wasn't just about her, it was about all of them now. The air shifted, tension tightening like a noose around them. "Just walk away, you don't want this fight," the lead figure sneered, his arrogance palpable. Mia felt fury rising within her. "What if I do?" she challenged, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. "What if I want to know the truth?" Her question hung in the air, and for a heartbeat, silence engulfed the street. The shadows shifted, and the man's grin widened. "You're more naive than I thought. The truth here is not for the faint-hearted." "This isn't a game," Elle interjected, stepping forward. "You're toying with lives for power. We deserve to know what we're up against." The men exchanged glances, and Mia felt their confidence waver just slightly. Maybe they weren't as untouchable as they portrayed. "Fine. But know this: once you enter the darkness, reclamation isn't guaranteed," the lead figure warned, his voice dripping with disdain. "You think you can navigate this world and come out intact? It doesn't work like that." "Then bring it on," Mia retorted, steeling herself. The words hung heavily in the charged atmosphere. With a swift motion, the men lunged forward, and chaos erupted. Mia saw Elle move with reflexes that were almost otherworldly as he dodged a blow aimed at her. Jake followed suit, protecting her from the onslaught. The three of them fought back, adrenaline surging through her. Shadows collided with light, and the world felt suspended, a cacophony of sounds and sensations blurring together. In the flurry of fists and desperation, Mia caught a glimpse of those intent eyes, the figures closing in with an unbearable recklessness. "You really think you can fight us?" One of the men spat, but Elle had his focus locked tight. "We'll see about that," he thundered as he took a defensive stance beside Mia and Jake, but the mob was relentless. The shadows grew darker, and fight or flight blurred into a dance of survival. With every blow exchanged, Mia recognized something powerful flickering within her, a fire igniting beneath layers of doubt. She was more than just a pawn in someone else's game, then, just as things seemed to spiral into chaos, a sudden loud burst punctuated the struggle. An unexpected siren sliced through the night, echoing through the streets. "This is the police. Stand down." A voice boomed. The figures hesitated, confusion rippling through them as they regrouped. "Quick, this way," Elle urged, pulling both Mia and Jake by the arms. They turned and ran, their legs pumping beneath them, fueled by adrenaline and fear as bursts of blue lights illuminated the dark. They didn't stop until they reached a hidden corner, breathless and alarmed. "They won't follow us for now," Elle murmured, his eyes scanning the street. "Are you okay?" Jake's voice trembled slightly as he turned to Mia. She could see the worry etched on his face, a stark contrast to the bravado moments before. Mia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of uncertainty press back down. She thought of Rachel, the dangers, and the choices ahead. "We're not done, are we? There's something bigger here." "No," Elle replied, nodding. "We'll figure it out. Together." The night felt quieter now, shadows receding, but Mia understood all this only marked the beginning of a path she couldn't shy away from. She might have stepped into the eye of the storm, but now, she recognized the desire to untangle the truth, to pave her own way. The glimmer of determination sparked from within, igniting hope against a backdrop of despair. Would she emerge intact? Only time would tell. "Let us go," she said, the fearless sparkle in her eyes igniting resolve in her friends. With a final shared glance, they stepped out into the darkness, the truth waiting to be unraveled, and as they walked, Mia knew she had to be prepared for the unknown inevitable ahead. She felt the energy shift around them, the winds whispering secrets just out of reach. Whatever happened next wouldn't just alter her life, it would define it. The shadows may be lurking, but so was her courage, ready to rise. And she wouldn't turn back again. You need to subscribe now to catch all the explosive exclusive stories ahead. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us alive. Don't hesitate to flood the comments with your thoughts. What do you think about Mia's journey? You're part of this with her, and I'm counting on you to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this jaw-dropping conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.